SSPSR for me has been a great intellectual home because it's been so diverse in terms of the disciplines we cover.
At its core, the critical aspects, the discussions, teaching, research makes us kind of continuously growing into something different and stronger.
Diverse group of very critical thinkers who are incredibly passionate about making change in the world.
Looking at the world through multiple lenses to try to understand it better.
International hub for visionary minds.
We're all doing very diverse research, but fundamentally we're doing it because we think it's important. I'm Dr. Eddy Hogg. I'm a senior lecturer in social policy. So I joined SSPSSR way back in 2014. It was my first academic post, coming very green out of a PhD, having supported and supervised PhD students and undergraduate dissertation students doing projects on things like food banks, on refugee support, etc. has really helped to shape my own thinking about these topics that I'm kind of thinking about day to day.
My name is Heejung Chung. I'm professor in sociology and social policy. Despite the ideas of academia being in ivory towers, just looking in books, armchair thinkers, you have a group of incredibly passionate people, many of whom who came from the fields, grassroots organizations, or from government, coming to really investigate social issues and problems with a mind to solving them.
My name is Trude Sundberg. I'm a senior lecturer in social policy and the director of the Q-STEP Center at the University of Kent. So I work within social policy and social research methods. People are really willing to listen and talk to each other across ages, genders, hierarchies. And I think that really strengthens us and helps us develop to be stronger and stronger and to grow together.
Hi, my name's Alex Stevens. I'm Professor in Criminal Justice. I'm a criminologist. I started work in the School of Social Policy, Sociology and Social Research in 1998. So it's been my intellectual home for a long time. We don't take concepts and assumptions for granted. We're always trying to challenge how we can think better, how we can understand better, and how we can make life better for people who are experiencing some of the greatest problems that society faces.
I'm Dr. Zhang. I'm a sociologist studying how to best govern contemporary science. We go beyond a Eurocentric focus and we look at how different parts of the world, especially the global south, conceptualize and respond to contemporary problems. We also go beyond an anthropocentric focus, that is beyond the humans. We look at animals or the environment.
I'm Mark Hill. I am a lecturer in computational social science. I'm brand new here, just started in October, and it's been a real welcoming environment despite the troubling times with COVID. People have been really friendly, really welcoming, and it's been really great to see the really truly diverse group of people working on really different things, really exciting things.
I guess the overarching project that I think I'm working towards at the moment is looking at the role that volunteering and voluntary action more broadly plays in public services. So I've been engaged in a project looking at the role of voluntary action in education, and particularly the way in which that relates to existing inequalities, and so that actually volunteering and the giving of money is not equally spread, and it means that young people from more privileged backgrounds get more resources, so it kind of magnifies that inequality. I've also been doing a lot of work on volunteering in health service. You have lots and lots of calls for action to mobilise volunteers and then nothing waiting to utilise that volunteer effort. And we saw that brought into really sharp relief in COVID. At the start of COVID, suddenly 750,000 people sign up to volunteer as first responders, and very few of them are ever matched with anything to do.
So my research recently has been on flexible working, as many of you did. It's like the COVID pandemic has really drastically changed who is doing work, who's working from home, who's working flexibly, and kind of our preferences going forward. Those things then relate to some of the inequality patterns we find in society. The blurring of boundaries between work and family life or private life ends up with workers working harder, longer. What is more, we find that flexibility at work and in the house may force women to take on an extra bit of burden that they would have not been otherwise have been able to do in terms of housework and childcare. Can both men and women be able to use flexible working to be better engaged with childcare and housework? And a lot of those reflections will help us better use flexible working going on into the future.
I think the common thread of my research is to work with marginalized communities in different parts of the world. And I've been interested in how we can encompass different kinds of knowledge when you're researching different topics. So I have been working more recently on water issues in West Bengal in India, where we've tried to work with Hijra communities, LGBT communities, people of different castes and religions, and to incorporate their experiences into findings about what we should do with water problems in the area. I've been working on welfare attitudes, where I'm thinking of how we can understand this and analyze this across different regions in the world, and to try and understand how we can decenter the Western experience. But the center and core of it all is, what is knowledge? Who should we listen to when we are talking about social justice questions?
A lot of my research is about the overlap between drugs, crime and public health. So I've studied drug problems in prisons. I've looked at whether drug treatment can help us in reducing crime. More recently, I've become concerned about the public health crisis of drug-related deaths and what we can do about it. We can't rely on evidence and reason alone to change policy for the better. That means we need to work with people across the sector, people who use drugs, people who are afraid of drugs, academics and others coming together to develop solutions that help governments see how it can be done better, how we can change drug policy to reduce deaths, improve health and reduce crime.
Recently, we've established a new center called the Center of Global Science and Epistemic Justice, where we have a group of people who are committed to look into a lot of the challenging issues exposed by emerging science. And our goal is to promote open and inclusive social debates around the world. Human genome editing. Should we produce designer babies? Should we get traits that parents consider as not desirable? It is very essential to have everyone involved to make that decision, so that everyone can exercise their scientific citizenship.
So my research up to this point has largely been looking at networks and groups of people who worked on particular texts together, for example, religious texts or political texts, and how they impacted and created political change. As things like Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn become more and more prominent and omnipresent in society, the lessons we learn from these historical networks are just as applicable today.
So I joined in 2011. The thing that changed most, which I like most, is I think that diversity has now increased. We are seeing more women in professorial positions, more women in kind of senior management positions. But on top of that, we are slowly seeing more ethnic diversity in our members of staff. And I'm really happy to see that, because it provides us with such a diverse kind of voices and thoughts to be shared.
We have people of different genders, we have people of different ethnicities, people from different places. I think that's really enriched what we do and how we do social research. I did my PhD here from 2009, so I've been here since 2009. So I feel like I've seen a very long range of developments.
We started teaching at Medway. And for a long time I led the teaching at the Medway campus, and we're really proud of the quality of education we provide at Medway and the achievements of our students there.
So I started here in September 2012, and over the past decade I think the school has grown more globalized and more bold in its intellectual agenda of going beyond a Eurocentric and anthropocentric view and revolutionize social theorization as well as empirical research.
Well, I'm really hoping that we continue doing strong research and becoming more diverse. And I really want us to kind of go further in terms of thinking of what knowledge is, how we do academic research, and bring more of affected communities into our schools, our teaching, our research, and just decolonize the university more than it has been so far?
I think SSPSSR has a really strong future ahead of it because we've got a really interesting group of young researchers coming through.
The best day of SSPSSR is really still ahead of us, and I say this partly because for the past decade we have hired a lot of brilliant young colleagues who are doing all kinds of empirical work around the world.
I guess the last thing I'd like to say about SSPSSR is it's very excited to be a part of it and looking forward to see what comes next.